Welcome back to the channel. We are on our way up to the cabin again. We are going to put up the rest of our buckets. We just stopped at the hardware store to grab the rest of the stuff that we needed. We needed some more buckets, some more tubing, some cinder blocks. What else do we get? Drill bit. Oh, and some taps for our barrels. We have a busy day coming up because we have 10 more buckets we need to put up, and we have about 30 cinder blocks that we need to unload.
And we need to stop at the bakery.
Yes, we do need to stop at the bakery. So we'll see you up at the cabin.
We're back at the cabin. We're here to tap some more trees today. We're gonna check the trees that we've already tapped to see if there's any sap in the buckets.
And we are going to unload all the stuff that we brought and find a spot for where we're gonna put our cinder block boiler thing that we're making to evaporate our sap. We don't really have a spot for that yet. We're kind of up in the air about a couple things.
Yeah, a couple spots.
Yeah, so we need to find a spot for that. But I'm excited to open the buckets and see if anything's been running this week. The weather's been a little bit weird where it's been up to like 1-2 degrees, but we're in the bush and it is a lot colder in here.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if anything's been running. I really hope so.
For those of you that don't know, the temperatures you want, I think we spoke in the last video, you want it to be minus at night and then plus the next day. So as Holly was saying, the weather's been kind of all over the place. We're hoping the next week, 2 weeks, that we're going to get those drops in the temperature and then the rises in the day. But the last week it hasn't been like that, so we may have no sap in the buckets. There might be an inch. We'll see.
Flying by the seat of our pants with this weather right now.
Yeah.
Okay, time to check the buckets. So I can see here in the tubing that the sap actually has been running, but because it's been so cold, the sap is actually frozen inside the tube. But this is a good sign because that means that the weather was at the right temperature at some point and sap was running. There is some sap in there. It's frozen, but there is some in there.
Nice.
So because it's frozen and there's only maybe an inch in there, we'll just leave it in the bucket. Look, you can see it here. It froze coming out the tube.
Yeah.
We'll close that one up. We'll have to check on that again in a few days, and we will move on to the rest of the buckets. More. Come look. I know there's not a lot in the buckets, but I don't know why every single time I open a bucket, no matter how many times we've done this, it's still very exciting. Because that means we did something right.
This one's very frozen.
buckets in the tube.
About an inch as well.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, it's kind of like last season, because last season kind of had the same thing where it trickled a little bit for the first few days that we put them up, and then the second week it was running so fast we couldn't keep up with it.
So far, just a little bit in the buckets. It's not running too fast, so we don't have to come up here too frequently. Once it gets going, we'll have to be up here pretty well every other day to check these buckets.
The tube on that one looks good, eh? It's got frozen stuff in it.
A little bit less, about half an inch.
Oh yeah. But look at the tube's full. Okay, so where are you exactly? All right, well, give us like 15 minutes then. Okay, no problem. Bye. Okay, the neighbor's stuck. They have their four-wheeler in the bush right now, and it is stuck in the snow, so they need help being towed out. I guess it's been stuck here for a few days, probably since the last time we were up here. We gotta get the machine fired up and get over there and help them get out. got back from helping the neighbors and they ended up inviting us over for tea. So we went over, we had some pine tea. Now that we have the machine out, we decided we're just gonna use it to get the rest of our stuff out to the trees instead of walking it out there. So Jeff is just hooking up the sled to the back of the machine and we are going to be on our way to tap the rest of our trees. Definitely got more snow. Oh yeah, it's in here.
Nice.
Yep. Yes. It froze coming out of the tube.
Yeah. Looks like it's running out of the hose.
Yeah, it's coming out of the hose.
Looks like quite a bit in that one.
This is very exciting.
See a little bit of blue.
We are 10 for 10.
That's good.
So far, every bucket that we have has sap in it, which is very exciting because last year, if any of you watched our videos, we actually tapped the wrong trees last year, a couple of them, and then we had to move our buckets. So this year we were a little bit more confident, but it's always nice to see sap in the bottom of the bucket to know that we actually did it right.
Correct, yeah. Because we were trying to identify in the winter because we missed tagging them in the fall and the summer when you can actually tell by the leaves. So last week we were out here, we're like hemming and hawing if we got the right trees, but evidently sap in the bucket means
Nailed it.
got the right trees.
We nailed it. This is so exciting. Okay, that's enough talking because we have 10 more buckets that we have to put up. We just added 5 more buckets to the west side of the property, so we are gonna zip over to the east side and add the last 5 buckets.
Let's do it.
See you over there. you always test the drill every time you pick it up, like the barbecue tongs when you clip them together?
Yes, ma'am.
We're over on the east side of the property and we have found a tree that we tapped last season, which is shocking because I thought all the ones that we tapped on this side blew over in the storm earlier this year. This is a good one. This is a big one. So we're gonna slap a bucket on this one. You can see here where we tapped it last year. So we've got the old hole here. We have our new hole here. The general rule of thumb is if you're tapping the same tree as the year before, that you want to have your hole, your new hole, at least 6 inches away in every direction from your old hole. And Jeff just drilled this hole and it's actually there's already sap coming out of it. Two buckets left and we are done for today with the trees. And then we just have to unload all of the cinder blocks we brought up and the barrels. The cinder blocks we are using to build a fireplace type of thing to do the boiling for the sap. Last year we boiled in a pot on propane, which was just not effective for us at all, especially considering the quantity of sap that we're boiling. So this year we went ahead and got some cinder blocks and Jeff is going to build us like a little sort of evaporator system so that when we boil the sap this season, it'll be way more effective. So he's going to get this last one up and then we have one more to put up and we are done for the day. We checked this bucket this morning when we got here and the line was frozen, but it is warm out right now, well, warmer, so the tree is running, but the tubing has a block of ice in it from being frozen earlier this morning. So the tubing is actually overflowing and it's coming out the top of the tubing because it has nowhere to go. It can't go down because there's a blockage of ice. So I'm gonna take the tube off and unclog the hole.
That's it for the day. That's a wrap. We tapped 10 more trees. We unloaded all our cinder blocks. We pulled the neighbor out.
Yeah, we did pull the neighbor out. They actually ended up inviting us over for tea after, so that was nice.
Yeah.
And then we also brought up these barrels. So they're 50-gallon drums, and we're going to be using those to store our sap in while we wait to do our boil. So just as we collect it, we'll be dumping them into there. Last year we drove back and forth, and we were keeping it in totes, and we were freezing some of it, and it was really cumbersome, that whole process. So we decided to go with these drums. So they hold about 200 liters a piece. But that won't be enough for us. So we have one more drum at home that we'll have to bring up and then...
Hopefully 3 will be enough. Last year I think we got about 550 liters of sap. So we have 3 drums, that's good for 600, but we put 14 buckets out last year. So we're definitely gonna need at least 2 more drums probably.
Yeah.
But the other thing is we'll have to relocate these. It's not a good spot for them. They're in the direct sunlight. They need to be in the shade somewhere so they stay cold. So the sap doesn't go cloudy.
That'll be next week's projects or something though, because
we'll be up here to check the buckets, so we'll relocate them and figure out a better spot.
We also have to wait for some of the snow to melt before we land all these things in their permanent location because there is still like a few feet of snow, so we can't really be setting up anything permanently right now. But we will be back next week to check on our buckets, probably before then based on the weather. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram so you can stay up to date on what we're doing. Thanks for watching today, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.